Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my tutorials on Pandas for beginners. In this video, I am going to show you how to load files directly from Github into Pandas data frames. So we are going to look at how to load these four file formats. We have a CSV file, a compressed CSV file, a TSV file, and an Excel file. So I already have example data sets that we will use. So I will show you how to get those files from one of my Github repos. For this tutorial, you need to make sure that you have Python installed and you should also have Pandas installed. Right? I have already set up my environment. But if you don't have Python installed on your PC, don't worry, you can still use your internet browser. So visit this Google Colab platform here. I'll leave the link to this page in the description box. So Google Colab allows you to write Python codes using your browser. So visit the Google Colab platform and make sure you have signed into your Google accounts. And then you will see this coming up. So when you see this, click on New Notebook. If, let's say, you have mistakenly clicked outside this window, you can still come to File and then click on New Notebook. So when you click it, you have a notebook open for you. All right. So when the notebook is opened like this, then you can start typing your Python commands. So either way, you will still have access to a Python environment to practice. All right. So I'll get back to my notebook here, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm first going to import Pandas. So I'll do this. I'll say import Pandas as PD. I'll load it. All right, so I've loaded it. So now I'll start. I'm going to start with a CSV file. All right. So in principle, the approach I'll use for the CSV file is the same as we use for the other file types. So we'll go through all of them one by one. So we'll look at an example data on one of my Github repos. So let's just visit that page. So let's go to this Github repo here. I'll leave the link to this page in the description box. All right. So I have four file types here. We will look at all of them. So we are starting with the CSV file, which is this one here. So when you are on a Github repo, all right, and by the way, this can also be used on all files that are on Github, all right. So far as the files are publicly available, all right. So far as the user has made those files or data sets publicly available, you can still load them, all right. Okay. So this the Github repo, which are the files. I will start with the CSV file, which is this one, model performance, all right. So to load it, you need to get a link. The link to the file, the download link. So when you are here, click the file like this. And when you click it, you'll be sent to another page like this one here. This is a CSV file, which is like it's a tabular format. And so it will display for you like this. And then come to this side, raw. So when you are here, right click and then get the link. Copy the link like this. So on raw, right click and then go to copy link. So this will copy the link that you use. Alternatively, you can just click on raw like this and then you'll be sent to another page. And then you can copy this link here. Okay, the one here in the address bar. This one here, this one. And then that's what we use. All right. So that's basically it. So let's get back to our notebooks and then let's do the CSV file. So to load it, first I will define my link. And just put it here rather. So I'll say link to file, or you can use any name, okay, any variable that describes the inputs. All right, so link to file or download link or whatever, you can say equals, and then it should be in double quotes or single quotes. They are string data types. So I'll bring my double quotes, start and end, all right, like this, or you can just start with one of them. I'll clear this one first. So like this, and then you paste, and then you add the second double quotes. Okay, so you should have it like this, right? Okay, and then you can create that variable. That's the first thing you have to do. You can still check link to file. You can just type or print it, just to make sure it has been displayed nicely like this. All right, so once you see like this, that means everything is fine. Then you can load the file. So to load the file, you can just say pd.read CSV. like this. All right, we are reading a CSV file. All right, so like this, and then you bring your parentheses and you can say link to file. So let's execute this command. So once you do that, it's going to load it for you. Of course, because we are loading it over the internet, there will be a slight delay, all right, because it takes some time to download it and then load it. So this is the file. Okay, there's the data in it, the records. So that's how it's done. All right. Okay, so this one we just loaded it, but you can assign to a variable. All right. So you can just say df equals pd dot read. That's called CSV. You can bring link to file. You can execute it. And now you can make your query. You can say df, and then you have your query display for you. Okay. So there's it. Right. Since it's a data frame, I say df.shape. You get the entries, the number of rows and columns. So 6, 7, right? And then you can continue exploring. I have a tutorial that shows how to load files and explore. I made an introductory video, so if you're interested, you can just watch that to get started with how to explore data in Pandas. All right. So the link to that video is in the description box. You can also click the link here to check that video out. All right. So there's it. Now, if you read your CSV table, all right, by default, you will have the indexes displayed like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. But sometimes you have a column that you want to use as index or as row names. All right. So those ones can be used as identifiers for the records. This data it was generated from a machine learning work that I did. So I just looked at different machine learning models or classifiers, and then I evaluated them. So these are the models, and I have the evaluation metrics. So these ones can be used as identifiers for these records here. And so we can use this as indexes. All right. So let's do this. If you want to set a column as an index, there are two ways you can do it. So you can set it whilst you are reading the file. Like if you are reading it like this for the first time, you can set it, or you can also set it after you have read the file. So I'm going to show you these two approaches, and then we will proceed to the rest of the activities. All right. So let's look at how it does. So let's see how to set indexes. So I'm going to show you two ways to set indexes in Pandas data frame. So two ways to set them, just two ways to use columns as indexes in Pandas data frame. So I'll start with the first approach. The first approach, we will load and set at the same time. All right. Let me just load it here. I'll just say let me just put setting indexes in Pandas data frames. So I'll start with approach 1. Load and set index simultaneously. Let me correct the, so simultaneously. Okay, so there's approach 1. So approach 1, we just load and then set it. I repeat, for approach 1, we load and set at the same time. All right. So we will do this. So I'll just do it again here. So I'll just say df equals pd.read underscore CSV, and I'll use the link to file. All right. So I already have the file loaded. So there's the link in case you've forgotten. So I'm using this link here to get the file and to load it. So the file can be found here. Let me just get back here. So there's the file. You can just use this to get a link, copy link. That's fine, right? So we are loading. Let me just do it here. So we are loading. So link to file, and then you will specify the column to use as index. All right, that's what you do. But for now, I think I'll even do this way. Instead of assigning, I think I'll just do it straight away so that we can see. So I'll just do it this way, and later we can assign to a variable. So I'll just say pd.read_csv link to file, and then to set the index, you have to specify the column that you use to set the index. All right. If you take a look at our table here, we are using model as the index. So if you take a look at the columns here, there's the first column. All right. So if you want to use a column, you can use its number. Now let's do this. So if you want to read more, okay, you can just visit the Pandas read CSV page to read more about how to do that. But let's do this. Let's look at our table again. So we are using the model column as the index. All right. So this is the first column. Okay, in Python, counting start from 0. So because this is the first column, we can just say index underscore call equals 0. That's the first column. All right. We are using this as the index. So I can run it like this to get the results. All right. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so we have it done for, so you can see that it's the index. If let's say you want to use a different column, that's also fine. You can do that. But for now, I think this is the one that I think will be much convenient for us. But if you are using your own data set, then you can experiment with other columns. You just have to specify the number, whether it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever, and then that will also give you the output that you want. All right, so this is the first strategy. Now let's look at the second strategy. All right, you can assign this to a variable, that's also fine, but I'll just leave it as it is because this is just a demo, but you can save it if you want with a variable name like what I did here. Okay, now let's look at the second approach. So in the second approach, you will load the file and set index later. Okay, so you load the file first and then later on you set index. I can say set index after loading. I can do this. Let's see, set index after loading the file. All right. So for that one, you have to set the index after loading. So that means that we have to load the file first. So let's do it. So let's use df again. It's a df equals pd.read_csv link to file. And then you can execute it. Okay, to read the data frame. So now let's say df. We have it like this. And then we are going to set our index. So we will use model. So to do that, you say df.set index. You say model. Well, this is the approach 2. So you can run it, and then this what will come up, right? So here, what we did was to just set the index. But if you just display a df again, you have it going back to its original form because we did not save the change to the original data frame, which is the df. All right. So you can either assign the operation to a variable. Okay, you can do this. Let's do it. You can just say new df equals df.set index model. Then say new df. Get you that, or you can save the changes to the original data frame, which I always advise against, but you can still do it. So now you can say df.set index model, and you can say in place equals true. All right, and then you can just read it. So you can say df, then you see that the changes have made. All right, so these are the two approaches you can use to set indexes in Pandas data frames. All right, I believe you are getting the hang of Pandas if you're a beginner, so just keep up the good work. Okay, so there is it for loading a CSV file. All right, so let's look at the next activity. Let me just add this load a CSV file. Okay, so the next activity is to load a compressed CSV file. Now, sometimes you have files which have been compressed, okay, so in different formats, JSON, zip, etc. So here I have an example. Let me just go back. An example of a zip file, a compressed file. Let's just check here, which is this one here, cancel gene expression.zip. So we are going to load it. So with this one, Pandas automatically identifies it, but you can also add some additional information if you are not getting what you want. If the default setting is not giving you what you want, you can do some additional setups. I'll leave the link in the description that you can use to read more about that. So for that one, to just get the link, now you know the address. So get the link, come to raw, right click, go to copy link, then come to it, then you can just define your link. Okay, let's say link. For now, let's use link. Okay, there's a string, so double quotes, and then you place everything in it like this, then you can run it. All right, so now you just have to come and you just say pd, or you can assign to a variable, right? Let's say df2 because pd.read csv, and say link. All right, so let's execute this command. Now, if you are loading using a Jupyter notebook, then if loading is in progress, you will see the star coming up, right? So when the star goes away, then that means that the file has been successfully loaded, right? And so the time it takes will also depend on the file size and then your internet speed, all right? So all these things will determine the time that the data or information will be loaded. So take note of that. All right. Now the file has been loaded, so you can say df2, and that will give us the information about that. Okay, so this one too, again, we have indexes starting from 0 to the number. All right, this is gene expression data, and by the way, I've used this data in a machine learning tutorial. So for those who are interested in machine learning tutorials, just check the description box. There's a link to a video that shows you how to use the expression data for predicting cancer or for designing cancer classification models. All right, so just check the description, you'll find the link to that video. Okay, so let's proceed. So this is for a compressed CSV file. Now there's a zip file, but you can also have .zip, .gzip, that's .gz. You can have .gz. There are different compressed file formats. And so if the default setting does not give you what you want, or it gives an error, then you have to check the Pandas documentation to learn how to specify the kind of compression format that is used. Well, I think I'll just show you rather. So go to the Pandas read_CSV documentation page, which is here, and then search for compression, which is this one here. All right. So I'll just search for it here. I'll just say compress. I have typed it, and it will send me to that portion, that section. Okay, which is this one here. I think I'll zoom in a bit. Yeah, so compression, you have this, and you can read more about the different compression formats that Pandas supports and how you can specify them. So we can do that here to read more. All right. Again, the link to this page is in the description box. Okay, so we have done that as well. So we can proceed. So this is how we read a compressed CSV file, and you can also use that for other file formats. Okay, let's do this. All right, so let's move to the next activity, and that is to load a CSV file. Okay, so I thought I'll bring this up because we have different text files with respect to separators. All right, so with CSV files, let's just get back here. with CSV files, these are comma separated values. I think I'll open one so that we see it. I already had one opened, so I'll show you. So this is the CSV file, all right? So these are comma separated values. That means that the entries, okay, for each column is separated by a comma. That's why it's called CSV, all right? For TSV, let me open another one here. And this one should be fine. Yeah, so this is a CSV file. If you open it with a text file, this is what comes up, right? That's what comes up. So all the entries are separated by tab characters. Of course, these ones, you can also open them with spreadsheet softwares. So what happens is when you open them with spreadsheet softwares, the software automatically identifies the separators. In this case, comma and then tab and then other ones, and then it gives you that table, all right? So let's just try this. I think I'll just open one here for us to see. I think I'll open one here. Let me just try. Yeah, so I'll open the same CSV file with a spreadsheet software. So this is it. And let's open the CSV file also with a spreadsheet software. So all of them, you don't see the separators. The comma, you don't see. Yeah, you don't see the tab because the spreadsheet software will automatically identify those separators and use them to give you the table outputs. All right, so that's how it is. Okay, so we are now loading a CSV file, which is this one here. That's what we are going to use. So by default, Pandas uses the comma separator. If you are using the read underscore CSV, the separator is a comma. Let's just get back to the Pandas read CSV page. So that's the separator. We have that here. We can use different, so except no default dot no default. So the default is a comma, but you can change it to a tab if the file you are reading is tab separated, like in this case. All right, in this case, we are going to read a CSV file, which is this one here. It's a tab separator, so we have to specify it. So we are going to look at that very soon. So this file here, this the seek.deg.tf. So for those into bioinformatics, those who are doing RNA data analysis, so this is a gene expression data, all right, the results after performing the differential expression analysis. This are the result that you get. I use the seek2 to get it, and I have a tutorial that shows how to do that as well. So for those who want to learn how to perform differential expression analysis using the seek2, I have tutorials on that. So I'll leave the link to those videos also in the description box. So we are going to read this file. So the same step. So come to click it. And when you click it, you'll be sent to another page like this and come to raw, right click and then copy the link. Also click on raw to open it, and then you can copy this link that shows up. So I'll just right click and then copy it. Okay. So now we are going to load a CSV file. We are going to load a file that has been saved on GitHub, but you can also use the same command for files on your PC. So first of all, let's define our link. Let's say CSV link. Let's say CSV link. Yeah, that's fine. And then let's equals to, and then bring our double quotes. So there's also a string. All right. So you start with double quotes, you paste the link, you bring another double quotes like this. If you are running on a Jupyter notebook, then when you type the first double quote, another one will also come. So all I have to do is just paste it there. So that one also works. All right. And then you can run it to get your variable. So when we are loading, we say pd.readCSV parentheses, and you say CSV link, that is the link, comma, and then you say separator equals, you bring your quote again, either single or double, that's fine, like this. And you say /t to represent a tab character. Okay, so the tab character on some systems will be 4 spaces like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 spaces, right? Or some will also give 6. It depends on how the system has been configured. And so here the tab character is going to be 4 spaces. That's what it's going to be. Okay, so for tab characters, we represent them using this /t. So a tab character is an escape character. So for Python, if you are dealing with strings, escape characters, we use this slash and then another character to represent it. So there's an escape character. So we have /t to represent a tab, and then /n for new line and all that stuff. Anyway, you will look at those stuffs in another tutorial. So this is the /t for tab. That tells us that the file we are reading, the separator is a tab character. That's what we have. So let's execute this command. So once we do that, then it's going to read it and give us the information. So just like we did previously, you have to wait for the file to get loaded for us. All right, so the file has been loaded. So we have the information. So for expression analysis results, we have the gen, p-adjusted value, p-value, etc. So that's what you get. And then from here, you can do your dashboards, you can do your visualizations, you can select the top 10 gens or top 20 gens. You can filter based on criteria like p-adjusted value, log2 fold change, etc. You can generate your plots, maybe volcano plots, and all those ones. All right, so those are things I've covered in other tutorials as well. And so even though for expression analysis, we do a lot of the stuff in R, if you have result files like this, you can still perform your analysis. You can generate visualizations as well. So that's something that I've covered one such tutorial, but I'll cover another one later on. So that's how we do it. And here again, too, you can assign the data, okay, to a variable. So this time I'll just do a copy and paste. I'll just come here, I'll just say df3 equals, and I'll just paste it like this. And then I'll just run it. So I'll run it, and then I think it has been loaded. So I'll just like this. I'll just make a query, df3. I have it there. Okay, so there's it. All right. So this is it for the TSV file, and of course you can still do some exploration. Here we see 1491 rows by 7. So you can do some exploration. For example, you can count, maybe you want to check, you can use this as index. I've already shown you how to set the index, and you can also count maybe how many gens have a log2 fold change of maybe greater than 1 or maybe less than 1. Anyway, let's just try something here. So df3, I can say df3, then into brackets I'll say df3 where log2, let me just define it here, log2 fold change. All right, is greater than or less, yeah, greater than, I can even add equals to 1, that's fine, I guess. Right, I'll assign this to a variable, so I'll just say res, of course. Let me just do it again. I say results plus df3 where df3 log2 fold change greater or equals to 1. Then I can execute it, and then I can just say results or shape to get the hits. So this is the number of gens that had their log2 fold change greater or equals to 1. So these are, you can see these are upregulated. If you combine this with the p-adjusted value, you can get the that are upregulated, right? So anyway, for exploration, I've covered one star tutorial, so check the description for it, and we will look at more exploration when it comes to Pandas. All right, so this is just to get you started and warmed up for the tutorials I'll be making later on. All right, now let's look at the other one, which is loading an Excel file. So that one is here. Okay, so for loading an Excel file, we use a different function. So first, let's get our link. Let's get back to the repo. There's the Excel file start.xl. So click and then come to right click and copy the link. Now you know the drill, right? So we are loading an Excel file now. So to load an Excel file, you need to get the file. For us, we are loading from GitHub. So I'll say link to, or let's say Excel link, or you can use the Excel file because you paste the link there. You run it, and then when you are loading, let's say df4 equals, you say pd.read_excel, and then you specify your Excel file. So let's execute this command. So we will load it now. So with Excel files too, the beauty with Pandas is that for Excel files, if you have multiple sheets, you can load them. Anyway, I'll cover a detailed tutorial on how to load Excel files. So in those tutorials, I'll show how to manipulate Excel files with multiple sheets. So this is just for the start. So we'll look at that. Okay, so it has been loaded. So I'll say df4. And I have it here like this. All right. So here we see unnamed. There's a statistics, all right, that I obtained from one of my Pandas tutorial videos. Okay, so it's the same data I loaded here, this one, but I did some basic statistics. That is what has been saved in that other file, the Excel file. So I have the count, mean, STD, min, max, all right. So if you want to get basic statistics, I have a tutorial on that as well. So check the description box, you'll find link to the tutorial that shows you how to get some basic statistics from Pandas data frames. So that will show you how to generate stuff like this. Okay, so this is it. So again here, you can set the index, all right. So here we can see count, mean, so we can set the index. This time I'm going to use the second approach because we have already loaded it. So I'll just say df4 set, or let me just use the first approach rather. So I'll just load it again. I think that will be better. I'll copy and paste, and then I'll just say comma index underscore call equals 0. I'm loading, and then I'll use the first column as index or row names. Okay. So row names or index, they refer to the same thing here. R uses row names, Pandas uses index. All right. So the first column will be used as the index. So I can run this command again. And then when I run it and I query for it, df4, now this becomes the index. All right. Now with indexes, if you want to check, you can just say df4.index or the data frame of interest. So ds4.index, that will give you the list of indexes. All right. So any of them should be fine. All right. So this is it. So in this tutorial, we have been able to learn how to load files directly from GitHub. So we have been able to load CSV files. We have been able to load compressed CSV files. We have also been able to load a CSV file, and then we have also loaded an Excel file. So there are other files you can also load. You can load JSON files and other file types, but these are things that I'll cover in other tutorials as well. So for now, if you're a beginner, then I will encourage you to check my introductory video on Pandas for beginners. And this is the video.